split finals preview episode of LCS Weekly. I am here joined by Chris. How are you doing?
I am doing well. Excited to be heading to Detroit this weekend, catch all the action, visit and explore the city a little bit.
Yeah, it's gonna.
Oh my gosh! I just realized we matched today.
We do. Yeah, I think that was very planned. And
obviously.
we're gonna be matching all weekend in Detroit.
Yes. I did send you a list of my outfits, so please look that over and make sure you dress accordingly.
You, me, and Rob, so we don't lose each other. We're all gonna wear custom T-shirts. Very excited to be in Detroit for the finals, but I would have been excited for the finals anyway, because it's gonna be one heck of a game.
I'm excited too. Coming into this week, I did not have very high hopes for this. Let's say the competitive balance of this event, right? Not so much anymore. After these last weekend's games, I think both of these matchups are going to be pretty exciting.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that comes from, we kind of thought it was going to be, Team Liquid far and above everyone else. They kind of struggled a little bit more than we expected, and Cloud9, did a little bit better than we expected. And so
absolutely. So which game do you want to start with to kind of break it down, the past weekend's action?
Let's go chronologically. Let's start with the Cloud9 CLG series.
Perfect. So I think more so than people expected, this was kind of a continuation of the way they looked when they matched up against each other in the tiebreaker. This very easily could have been a 3-0 for Cloud9, but then CLG was able to kind of stick around and win that third game, but Cloud9 took care of business in the fourth one. I thought this was going to be a very close, very exciting series to watch. I had high expectations for CLG, especially coming off of their 3-0 with Optic, and that just never materialized. I don't know if it's Cloud9 specifically that they don't match up well, because now they're 1-4 in their last 5 games against them, or if it's just that there's some cracks in the armor here, right? Like that team that looked so strong, it looked like they'd grown up so much in the summer split, that teams are kind of figuring them out, or maybe that their playoff inexperience with some of their rookies is showing. I'm not sure what it is, but either way, Cloud9 absolutely looked like the superior team in this series, and it was a very convincing 3-1.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, CLG can still be a really good team and lose to Cloud9. Cloud9 has been a very good team. Losing to them isn't really an indicator that you're a bad team. And, man, Niski just keeps getting better. He really rocked it. He struggled in their loss, but all 3 of their wins, he was just crushing it. And, I think that's hard to match up against. I think that CLG has done fine, and I think they'll continue to do fine and continue to improve. I just think that C9 is a top 2 team, possibly the best team. I guess we'll see, but I think that we were kind of underselling them a little bit, me more than anyone, and they proved us wrong. They showed us why they're up there. So.
The mid lane right now, and we'll get a little bit into this as we look into the matches for this coming weekend. It's a very interesting place because it feels like there are a lot of champions that snowball really hard on one hand, and then there's other champions that just scale really hard on the other hand, right? And you're going to do either or. You're going to play the Azir Corki, or you're going to play Kiana or Silas, whatever, right? So Niski is very much a snowball champion player. You don't see him very much on the Sivir, or I'm sorry, on the Corki. I don't even know if he's played Corki yet. It's just not his style, right? He wants to win lane, win game. And so, that'll be interesting moving into the next series, but it definitely showed itself in this series. Like you said, the 3 games that they won, Niski popped off. And the game they lost, he looked terrible. So, it's very much as far as Svenskaren's concerned, that 2-man combination is critical to C9 success moving forward. And it really showed in this series because that combination definitely looked better than the Wiggly Power of Evil combination.
Yeah, and I mean, to your point, the one game they lost, he was on he was on a control mage, and the 3 games that they won, he was in kind of all in like high damage champions, and so yeah, I mean he's more comfortable with that. He wants to get in there and get messy and really take on his opponent, and when he does, he tends to do pretty well.
I was absolutely. I was very impressed. My takeaways from the series, I guess, is that Cloud9's the real deal, and they have now officially locked in their world's position. So, looking at Rift Rivals, I will tell you, I was not I was not too confident coming off of Rift Rivals of their performance, but now I'm looking at Cloud9 as a team that can do damage at the World Championships. This is their first time, I believe, in however many years that they're actually not going to be the 3rd seed from North America. They don't have to fight through the gauntlet,
right,
which makes them, it's an even different approach for them because, like last year, they had to do the play-in tournament to get there, and then they went on their run where they 3-0'd Africa, but now they get to sit at that 2 seed, and if with a favorable draw, I don't see why they couldn't actually advance out again.
Yeah, I think that they do have a very solid team. I think that again, going back to this matchup, Wiggly has had a surprisingly good split, but he's still pretty new. And Svenskeren brought a lot of experience into this matchup, and I think that made a big difference as well. But yeah, I mean, this is a team that I could see going pretty far at Worlds, to be honest. I like them in pretty much every position. I don't see a huge weakness anywhere. If they're all playing well, they can stack up against most teams. So
they just seem like, I use this in kind of they seem like a dangerous team, right? Mm-hmm. Like they are a team that could win any game, but I can also see them losing games. And that, I mean, you look at Niski's performance in that series, right? Like they are a team where I could see them taking a game off of the best teams or losing a game to some of the worst teams.
And they'll probably do both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes moving forward. But yeah, the series, I had a lot of hype, a lot of excitement going around it, and that just never materialized. It was clearly a one-sided series from the beginning, and not at all what I was expecting.
Yeah, it was a disappointment. I mean, I'm a big supporter of CLG. I just, I like a lot of their players, and I wanted to see, something a little bit better than this. Even if they didn't win, I wanted to see, 3-2 or some closer games or something, and it was pretty one-sided. After Game 2, there were, even with the win in Game 3, there was kind of very little hope that they were going to turn it around. So, it is what it is. I still think they had a really good, really respectable season. But, this is what happens when you're up against a team like Cloud9.
So, Cloud9 versus CLG series aside, the far more interesting series of the weekend was the Team Liquid versus Clutch Gaming series, the 1 versus the 5 seed. So yes. I'll let you go give your thoughts on this one first, because as the resident TL fanboy, I might have a different perspective than a more level-headed opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I think for the most part, I mean, at least, in my viewpoint, this was Clutch playing up to Liquid's level rather than Liquid playing down. I thought it was a really good series. And, man, there were a lot of emotions. There were a lot of, not knowing who I wanted to win. I really wanted Clutch to win for a lot of reasons. I really like the team. I also really like Liquid. And, there did come a point, and I'm pretty sure the casters were talking about it, where, if Liquid loses here, there's a chance that they might not, move on. They were talking about Worlds and seeding and everything, and, there was just a lot riding on this. And
there was.
and that all comes into play because
There's a lot riding on this week.
yeah, we all want our best foot forward, going
Right.
going to Worlds as coming from NA where it's already Worlds is always kind of a tough thing. We got to send our best, and as much as you like those upsets and stuff at the end of the season, and you really think they might deserve it, it's like, all right, but what does that do to our chances at Worlds? And so, just a lot of things going on in our heads during this series, but they took it to 5 games. It was really exciting. Even down to the last game, it was a lot of fun to watch. A lot of potential to pop off on either side, which makes anything fun to watch.
From my perspective, right, we had this conversation, you, me, and Rob. How does Clutch Gaming win this series, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that I always came back to was Team Liquid needs to ban things that they don't usually play against or that they aren't comfortable playing against, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you play a standard game against Clutch Gaming, you have to be confident you're the better team. And what did Clutch Gaming do? They played their non-standard niche picks and won. In Game 2, they took the Kiana,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is going to be a key pick for the upcoming series. And if Team Liquid doesn't ban it, I'm going to pull my hair out because they should know better. And then in Game 4, they let them play the Rumble, which they knew Huni was a god on.
And the Sivir.
Yeah, well, I don't care. Once again, Cody's son is nothing.
Yeah, the 7-1 and 6 Sivir. But
you can clean up kills at the end and whatever.
Whether or not he was the catalyst of the win, he's won a lot on Sivir, and that has come across as another champion that maybe they should look out for. And yeah, when they were allowed to play those champs, they won handily.
Well, and to the point that I'm trying to make, what do they do in Game 5? They pick Tarek Sona. Right? They ban out your niche champions. They picked Tarek Sona, and Team Liquid rolled them. They rolled them up in Game 5. It was not close at all. And that's just because I think at the end of the day, Team Liquid's just the better team, right?
Mm-hmm.
First off, Sona Tarek is hard to play against for anybody in North America, let alone Team Liquid, who's probably played it more than anybody, and understand the benefits to it better. I really, really liked Team Liquid's composition in the last game. I thought it was smart. I did not like Clutch Gaming's composition in the last game. Going into it, I thought the Karma pick was a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
If you're trying to play against Sona Tarek, I get that they were trying to transition into a 2-carry composition with the Tristana and the Sivir,
right.
But even then, you're giving Sona Tarek too much time. If you're playing Karma mid, you're giving them too much time. And that's what happened.
Yeah.
They were never really able to take off with their composition, and Team Liquid just continued to take mid-game advantages to the win. So, exciting series, very nerve-wracking, because like you said, going into that Game 5, there is a lot riding at it. It's not just the possibility that that number 1 seed going into this weekend, that number 1 seed is extremely important for North America because a favorable draw is going to be a big deal.
Absolutely.
Especially for Team Liquid, because there are such expectations on them, and I really do think Team Liquid's a better best-of-5 team than they are a better best-of-1 team, because sometimes, like I said, they just lose games for no reason. They make a draft mistake or do something, and they just drop a game that they shouldn't. I mean, they lost to Echo Fox in the second week. And yeah, it is what it is, right? Yeah. So this was an exciting series. You said that you felt that Clutch played up to Team Liquid's level versus Team Liquid playing down to Clutch's level. I think it was somewhere in between the two of them, to be honest with you. I think that in a gameplay on the map level, Clutch did some really good things. But I think off the Rift, as far as draft decisions and things like that, I think there were some definite errors that were made. Team Liquid played the same composition in Game 2 and just dared Clutch Gaming to beat it, and they did. Clutch Gaming read the plays that they were making. They played very well. And on that front, I think Clutch is, that's encouraging because that shows we actually learned something from Game 1 and we're able to apply that into Game 2. So on that, kudos to Clutch Gaming. That was impressive to me. But very close series, very exciting series, very nervous series if you're a Team Liquid fan. So
Yeah, and I think what you're saying about the double carry, double support comp, like running that in game 5 of a 5-game series that's a wild time to do that. I see it. I'm sure they've practiced it, but like you said, it took a long time to come online. Those are a couple late game ADCs, and yeah, it just didn't work out for him. Unfortunately, putting Demonte on something so support focused. The 2 games they won, he was on Kiana and he was on Aurelia, and that worked for him really well. Kind of the same thing that we were saying before with Niski. Like, get him in there, get his hands dirty, and let him carry. And they didn't do what was working for him in their 2 wins in Game 5. So unfortunate for Clutch fans, really good for Liquid fans. I think good for NA overall moving forward.
absolutely. So moving forward, we did have our summer split MVP announced, and drum roll, if you haven't heard yet, it was Sven Skaren of Cloud9. So I have some thoughts on this. He came down to the final 2 that they announced was between him and Core JJ. Core JJ being the spring winner of the LCS MVP and his first split in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to go first? Do you want me to kind of go on this one?
You go ahead first.
Okay. So when I look at an MVP award, I draw references from traditional sports, right? And in traditional sports, the MVP award is oftentimes given to the best player on the best team, right? Or on like a top team.
Mm-hmm.
You look at just across multiple sports, right? Or the way that people can kind of filter it out is actually taking that most valuable piece, right? And who was most valuable to their team. They may not have been the best team, right? May not have been the best team. They could have been a middle of the pack team, right? But this person was more important to the success of that team than anybody else, any of the counterparts on any of the other teams, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I look at those 2 kind of descriptions, right? And I don't feel like Sven Skaren fits either of them. Best player on the best team is Core JJ.
Mm-hmm.
Like, to me, he's that, right? And I also don't look at Cloud9 and say, wow, Sven Skaren is so important to that team. Without him, they would just be garbage, right? Because there are teams out there that I look at and I'm like, man, if you took this one player off of that team,
Mm-hmm.
they would be pretty bad. TSM, if you took Bjergsen off of TSM, they would be terrible.
Yeah.
Really. Like, I mean, in the valuable sense of the word, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
he's way more valuable to the success of his team than Sven Skaren is. And in fact, at times, Sven Skaren got subbed out with Blabber. So, to me, I get it. There's probably a strong feeling of not wanting to give the MVP award to the same player back to back.
Yeah.
Especially in his first 2 splits. So I can understand that.
Right or
also,
wrong. I mean,
right.
I'm not sure I agree with that, but I think that probably was somewhat of a factor.
Also, having Double Lift on your team as well, I'm sure it kind of splits voters because there are people who are going to think that Double Lift should be winning that most valuable player award.
Absolutely.
I just didn't think it was Niski. Or, I'm sorry, I just didn't think it was Sven Skaren, right? I don't think he's the most valuable player to his team. I don't think he's the best player on the best team. And honestly, I don't think he was even the most qualified if you try to combine the 2. So that's my thoughts on it. Congratulations to Sven Skaren, though. Great story after leaving TSM. He's really had this resurgence of his career, and he's found a lot of success with Cloud9. So kudos to him. I like the guy a lot. I think as a person, he's a very likable player. Plus, he's good. He's just flat out good.
Mm-hmm.
But I just didn't think that he was the right pick for this one.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. I definitely see what you mean. He's not one that I really would have, was thinking of before this. Um, as always, and I know I've mentioned before on this podcast with many other things, is there's a lot that we don't know, and a lot of that could come down to mentality and leadership. You know, behind the scenes, even on the stage, he's got a lot of experience. Seems like a good guy. Um, and who knows? Maybe that doesn't factor into their selection. It would to mine. I think
Right.
something as all encompassing as like split MVP should factor that in. If a guy's getting a high KDA and their team's winning, but he's a jerk, behind the scenes, I think that should count against him. Because it all matters. It all matters to the team mentality. It all matters to lifting up your teammates rather than tilting them. And so I don't know the guy. I've never played with him, surprisingly. But from the indication I get from kind of the talk that I've heard, if that is factored in at all, I think that might kind of speak to him. Just with the large amount of experience he brings in, if he is a strong leader on that team, that is something that gets factored in both with MVP selections, but also just talking about some of the great players. We get those shot caller players, which are often supports, but sometimes junglers too. That their impact on the team comes down to a lot more than just the numbers, and so that could be the case here. But um, you know, I think that there might have been other players that I would think of before him for this, but also, I'm not angry about it. I think he can definitely be one of the top ones deserving it. Obviously, he's helping lead his team to success. And so, yeah, congratulations. I'm excited. I'm excited that their two teams are, facing off. That's going to be cool. We'll really see there. Hopefully, he doesn't get solo killed by Core JJ a couple
Right.
times and see that result. But yeah, interesting selection. I know a lot of people were pulling for other stuff. I saw one of our writers was was talking about how he was already prepping an article for Doublelift being the MVP when this got announced that it was down to these two. So sorry, Braden, but you'll have to change that around a little bit. But yeah, I mean, and also just overall, I personally like that it doesn't just go to the person with like the most kills. It doesn't just go automatically to the most dangerous mid or ADC. As a support player, it was super awesome to have Core JJ be the MVP. And jungler is a similar thing where it's more about like the team and helping the team rather than just being the one getting all the kills. I do like that is kind of all taken into consideration. So.
Right. No, I mean, congratulations to Svenskeren. This split more so than any of the ones I can remember in recent history. I feel like there was a lot of players that had a valid argument for the MVP award. And honestly, I probably would have found something wrong with pretty much every one of them. But as boring as it sounds, I thought for me it was Core JJ.
Yeah.
That was it. And Svenskeren not being far behind. My only hard thing about Svenskeren is that I also want to give the award to Niski on Cloud9 because I feel like he's been a big part of their success this year.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, lots of emotions on this one. But congratulations to Svenskeren once again. Great guy from everything I've seen and read and heard. And very deserving of it, even though maybe not the most deserving in my opinion, but very deserving of finally getting an MVP award for him. So
yeah, agreed.
So
speaking of emotion, there was a lot of talk about after the Clutch Liquid game. Huni was obviously pretty upset.
Right.
I thought that was great to see. I think we need to stop criticizing people for showing emotion, especially in such a volatile environment. He wants to win, and I've talked about it before. I've loved the guy, for a long time. I'm just always kind of pulling for him. I want to see him succeed, and I really hope that they kind of win from here on out and continue to do well through, for the rest of the year. But seeing that level of passion, I think, is always great. So it was tough. It was tough to root against either team for me in that series for sure.
I like Clutch Gaming. I lived in Houston for a little bit, so I mean, any team that's rocking Texas stuff is kind of cool with me. Plus, I mean, they're the Houston Rockets ownership, or they were until Dignitas came in as a
Right.
majority partner. So I've always kind of cheered for Clutch Gaming. They get one more chance here. I mean, they're not done.
Right.
Like they're not done. They have the 3-4 game, and if they lose that, they still have the gauntlet because nothing gets decided maybe other than seeding in the 3-4 game,
Mm-hmm.
right? So they're not done. They got an opportunity to look back, fix their mistakes, and they've definitely made significant strides here in the summer split so far. Speaking of the 3-4 game and the championship, we have the moment everybody has been waiting for. We've had this summer split madness thing going on. So let's talk a little bit. Which one do you want to start with? The 3-4 game, and then we'll go into the finals?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And before we start, we just to update the viewers, last week's games were worth 3 points apiece if you correctly picked them. An extra bonus point, once again, if you correctly picked the score and the winner. We had 2 people pick Cloud9 over CLG, and 1 person pick CLG. That gentleman was Mr. Nick.
That was me.
Over there. That
was yeah.
So, and then we had all 3 of us pick Team Liquid, although none of us predicted a 3-2 for Team Liquid, and none of us predicted a 3-1. Neither Rob nor I picked a 3-1 for Cloud9. So, going into this week, the points are as follows: 10 points for myself, 9 points for Mr. Rob, and 6 points for Mr. Dantes.
Yeah.
But
with
right this week, 4 points of victory. 4 points of victory. So you are not out of it yet, sir.
I'm only 4 points out.
You're only 4. That's all I have to do is get 1 wrong, and we are tied up. Tied up. So we'll start with the 3-4 match. Clutch Gaming versus Counter Logic Gaming. And I was not, I'll be honest with you, last week I was like, man, this is going to be a bummer. I'm going to watch a 3-0, maybe a 3-1. And it's not going to be very exciting. And my Saturday is going to be quick. And I'm going to be ready to explore Detroit and maybe I'll pay attention to of course I'm going to pay attention to the games, but I'm not going to be riveted. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure about that anymore. Clutch Gaming had a great weekend, and CLG did not. So we have Rob's picks.
Yeah, Rob can lead off.
Rob can lead off with his picks. Rob has taken CLG over Clutch Gaming with a 3-2. And as my closest competitor, game strategy would say just continue to pick what Rob picks on every matchup, and there's no way he can beat me. If I pick both of Rob's picks,
there you go.
He can't possibly score higher than me.
Just boxing him out.
Just box him out. But I have not picked a wrong match so far in this playoffs. And I'd like to keep that streak alive. So I'm going to go 3-2 Clutch Gaming in this series. The upset. First off, I just want to root for Clutch. So that's kind of part of it. We talked about how I've liked seeing them. And the other part of it is I think they might be the better team. CLG stumbled a little bit in this past week. They definitely showed some weaknesses that were able to be exploited. Mm-hmm. And in a lot of ways, Clutch Gaming kind of reminds me of Cloud9, right? Like, you've got this explosive mid laner in Demonte. You have scaling picks out of the bottom lane. You have a jungler that plays well with your mid laner and can also capitalize on whatever advantages you give him in Lyra. And then Huni just does whatever up in the top lane. He's kind of the wild card, right? So I think Clutch can win this series, and I think they're going to win this series. It'll be close. It'll be close. Another game 5 for Clutch Gaming, but I think they pull this one out.
Whew.
This puts you in a rough spot, right? Because now you can either chase me, or with Rob.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things to consider. Do I go with the game theory of, like, if things fall into place, then this would let me catch up? Do I go with what my heart wants? Or do I go against that, and then either way, I at least am a little bit happy?
Right. Either way, you're going to have to pick an upset if you want to catch up. It's got to either be this one to catch up to Rob, or the other one to catch up to me. So, one way which upset are you more confident in is the way I would do it.
Yeah, going off of that, I don't think that the other game is the one to call the upset on. Put it that way. So I think I'm going to call it CLG 3-2. But I really hope that I'm wrong, because I don't think I can see Huni lose another game 5 right now. I don't think I could take it. So I'm gonna write that down. I'm gonna hope that I'm wrong.
Okay. I'm going against the grain here. This is the second time I have taken Clutch Gaming against the two of you.
Yeah.
First time it worked out for me, so we'll see if I'm able to pull this one out as well. My faith, I have faith in Tanner Time. Tanner Time is coming to Detroit.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad bet for sure. It was looking pretty good. Yeah, it's really tough. We've just been talking about these teams a lot, and the more, I feel like the more that we talk about them, and the more we talk about their kind of strengths and weaknesses, and really see, it's really hard to pick, especially this game. But there's a lot of good stuff going on with all of these teams, and they're the top 4 teams for a reason, and it doesn't make it easy.
No, I think this is going to be an exciting series. I'm really looking forward to this series. I very much am, and it's not just because I want to see the two battle it out, right? Because this has a lot of implications for the gauntlet, like we were talking about, right? The winner of this series might be the favorite to. It should be, rightfully so, the favorite to win the gauntlet. They both will be in the gauntlet either way, and then obviously you have TSM floating out there, and then FlyQuest, I believe, is the other team that's in the gauntlet. But I think it's, after they smash TSM, it's got to be one of these two teams, right?
Yeah.
So how do they do in a best of 5, right? And then they're going to get another best of 5, hopefully, against each other later on. So, let's see how this goes. I'm excited. I'm ready for Saturday. I was not looking forward to this matchup nearly as much until Clutch Gaming put up the fight that they did against Team Liquid.
Yeah. Agreed. All right. Finals?
Finals. You want to go first? I went first in the Clutch one, so I'll let you go first on this one.
Yeah, that's fine. I think... Man. Maybe it's a sweep. Maybe it's 3-0 Team Liquid. I don't know.
Spicy.
You gotta be bold.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, clean sweep. Team Liquid, finals.
Ooh. Okay, well, oh man, I gotta follow that up. Okay,
yeah.
Well, so here's what I will say. There's one team that was able to take both games off of Team Liquid in the summer split. That team was Cloud9.
Mm-hmm.
And heading into these finals, I think, like I said before, Cloud9 does a lot of things or their makeup of their team, and the way they spend resources and the way they play around the map reminds me a lot of Clutch Gaming. I think they're a better team than Clutch Gaming is. I think at almost every position you could say that they're an upgrade. I would say probably Clutch's bottom lane's a little bit better. But I still think that in a lot of ways they're very similar teams. I'm going to go Team Liquid just because I couldn't root against Team Liquid. But I'm going to go Team Liquid 3-2. I think, once again, this one's going to get to a Game 5. I think Team Liquid definitely needs to understand, like, they need to take a look at their drafting and the mistakes that they made in the series versus Clutch Gaming, and hopefully they don't repeat those. I've just seen Niski and Svenskaren popping off for a game or two. Licorice popping off for a game, right? But I think this is going to be a close series that Team Liquid takes in the end.
Yeah, and as we discussed last episode, the game numbers don't always indicate how close it'll be. I don't think
Right.
I don't think that Cloud9 is going to get stomped.
Mm-mm.
But I think that Team Liquid is coming to win a finals, and they're going to close out the games. Whether it's fast in a stomp or whether they have to fight hard through a 40-50 minute game. I think Team Liquid's going to find a way to pull it out. So I do think that it will be somewhat close, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it won't be a sweep.
I think a big difference, looking at comparing spring finals to this finals, in spring finals, TSM were able to carry through the top lane in multiple matches, and I don't think the meta is set up in a way where you do the same thing right now.
Mm-hmm.
There's not very many games where you're like, man, that Aatrox carried that game. Or even if it's... I think it's more mid-lane focused than the spring finals were. And for that perspective, I mean, Jensen popped off in the Clutch Gaming series, right? Like, it's too bad Rob's not here because we have this discussion about how good Jensen is all the time. But Jensen definitely showed he is the real deal in that series. And I think he'll do the same against Niski. I'm excited for the series. I think it's going to be a great series. Cloud9 chasing their first title in 5 years. Team Liquid looking for the 4-peat, right? Like, there's a lot of cool storylines that are going on behind it. And I definitely think it's going to be good. Cloud9 looked great last weekend. Team Liquid didn't. And so, 3-2 Team Liquid, because I do think that they're the best team in North America. Bias aside, I still think that, just put on paper, I think they're the best team.
Sure.
I mean, I really do, from a North American perspective, holistically want Team Liquid to gain that number 1 seed.
Yeah.
So.
All right. And what did Rob say?
Rob said 3-2 Team Liquid in this series. So, we all have gone Team Liquid on this one. So, I hate to tell you this, Nick, but you are mathematically eliminated from the championship.
Yeah, I think we all saw that coming.
Mathematically eliminated because you can't beat me and you can't beat Rob. So
yeah, no, that's fine. I've gotten used to all of my predictions being wrong all the time.
It adds some excitement to switch your prediction, right? And you could have a change of heart from your 3-0 sweep that you predicted.
Yeah.
So, no, I'm excited. The whole LCS Weekly crew, if you haven't heard yet, is going to be in Detroit for the finals. Myself, Nick, and Rob, we will all be there. So if you're interested in meeting up, you want to chat about League of Legends, the show, anything in general, pretty much life, we will all be there. Just hit us up on Twitter, and we can probably set something up.
Yeah, that'd be great. I want to meet as many people as I can. So we will be in bed by 9. We were discussing earlier that I'm much older than the rest of the crew, and so I'm going to put my foot down. We're going to be back in the room by 9. But anything before that, a nice quiet hangout.
Speak for yourself, old man. I don't know if I will be up until at least 9:30. At least 9:30 for me. So.
Hey, you're going to miss that continental breakfast, and I'm not going to feel sorry for you.
Well, it depends on where you're getting the continental breakfast from. So that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's been a little while since I've seen games live, and man, it's just always it's so exciting. It's such a good feeling to be in a stadium with so many people who are just as excited for the same thing that you are. Um, you know,
You
I,
know, if you haven't been to Little Caesars Arena yet, it's a fantastic venue. It's pretty much brand new. The only bummer for me is that, love it or hate it, TSM is not going to be there, so I think the energy in the arena will be a little bit dampered.
we're still gonna get the chance.
We'll still get the chance, but TSM fans who might have bought their tickets in the past probably ditched their tickets or decided not to go
Yeah,
because the team's not there. So that's kind of a little bit of a bummer, but I hope that there's still a good turnout for it. I'm excited to see the arena packed. I will be there. I have some friends and family going as well, just because it's close to us, and I just want to show them all what esports is all about.
yeah, that's great. Yeah, I think TSM definitely has a big fan base. I think the finals matchup is gonna be a big draw. And yeah, I'm just excited for that energy. It's going to be a really good time. So, very much looking forward to it. As I said before, looking forward to meeting you and Rob. Rob, who I've been working with pretty much every day for over a year. We've never met, so that'll be fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna hang out and have a good time. So.
Absolutely. Well, once again, thank you everybody for listening in. Hit us up with your own predictions, your own thoughts for the finals and the third place game, and we hope to see you all there.
All right. Thank you all, and have a good night.